The following program is an LTX Enterprises production. The Falls Count Everywhere podcast would like to mention our friends at the following. The Searcher and Hide podcast, for mind-intriguing discussions about wrestling, movies, Bigfoot, aliens, and everything in between, then look no further than the Searcher and Hide podcast. You can find the Searcher and Hide podcast on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms. Go check them out today. And Outside the Ring STL. Join Shaft, Lucy, General Vader, and others who share their love for professional wrestling as they talk about the recent shows from the major wrestling companies, all independent promotions from around the St. Louis area, and even talk about great moments in St. Louis professional wrestling history. Find them on Facebook at Outside the Ring STL. Get ready for episode number 16 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast, featuring longtime veteran professional wrestling manager Blackgove Butch Fletcher. This podcast is scheduled for one episode where falls count everywhere. We thank all of you tuning into tonight's program here on the LimeTime Podcast Network. Before we officially begin, we pay honor, respect, and salute the greatest nation in the world as we play our national anthem.
Oh, so can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets right there, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the home of the brave.
And look at that. I'm just off on time again, but who knows? The clock is down to 0, and it's time for your Thursday night ritual here on the LimeTime Podcast Network with the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. And welcome everybody to this, and good to see everybody here on a Thursday night. Glad that you're making it out here with us. We're just about out of the dog days of summer. Unfortunately, still not out of the dog days of the year of 2020, but we'll get by with it. And now you got people. All right. Hey, there we go. Now I'm thinking about 2020 and how I want to get out of here, and I can't even control my music. But hey, what the hell anyway? My name is Rough Cut Rick Ruby. I am, of course, your co-host and, of course, moderator of this fine podcast. And on the other side is the other co-host, where apparently he is not there. He was just there like a few minutes ago. Where in the heck did he go? Apparently, Mr. GQ has now apparently decided to become absent here. What?
Sorry, I'm running late. Hello.
GQ! Hey!
Well, that's how you spell the name. Don't wear it out.
Well, two letters, and it's a hard name to spell. Jeez. And I had to make it simple for you, right?
You would be surprised at how many that's enough. They call me DQ or QT, so...
Or DQ, whatever. But no, we're not going there. Oh, I see. You had to go get your little cocktail.
Lord.
Get your little cocktail. Oh, my
Actually,
goodness.
an actual one this time, beer, because this has been a stressful day.
It has been honestly, it's been a stressful week, though. Really, the best thing out of it that I got today is seeing, my daughter Haley, apparently now starting off the school year within this first month, still raising at a 4.0 average or GPA. So that's always a good thing, and hopefully we get that going. But what about you on your end?
Well, let's see. First, I'm going to say which I'm glad we have our guest tonight instead of who we had. But the reason why I want to explain why originally Douglas O'Shea was booked for today, we had to bump him because right now he is under investigation within IEW because for the attacks of Hawk Elliott and Shaft. And as of now, he will not be refereeing on the show, but he will be at Awakening. And I will be facing him one-on-one in the ring, not wrestling. No. I will make sure I don't mess that one up there. I will be confronting him in the ring to find out if he did the stuff or whatever and find out what's going on. As of right now, we're still waiting to hear from the doctors on Hawk. Shaft would not be able to be at the show now because of the injury sustained from the attack. So it's my show on that one, as you can see, as it was put. Am I flipped yet? Yeah, I am. So it's over here.
Yeah.
For Awakening. And also, as people have heard probably by now, that Playboy Double H was diagnosed with COVID-19. And so here is the lineup for Awakening as it looks so far. We have Sabotage Squad versus Chaos and Riot. Mystery Opponent versus Hawk Elliott. Stephen Bishop versus Scar. Brent Dunn, which was originally versus versus Pretty Boy Floyd. Then Tyler Bodine, which was originally against Playboy Double H, but now is any associate whatsoever that I've ever associated with PYT can become that in that spot in the match. So, plus we're looking to have another match on the show at least right now, but you have all that and everything like that. So everything's going crazy is what it is.
Well, COVID.
It's crazy when I'm actually drinking.
Oh yeah. Well, it's all right. I mean,
I would offer some of this Aaron Wallace, but I don't think he's old enough. So.
Well, I mean, you can.
But he acts like he's 5.
The Virgin Jesus juice can never hurt anybody, right? I'm just saying it. I mean, the sparkling. It's sparkling.
What the hell is Virgin Jesus juice?
Sorry, man. I'm sorry. Oh my God! But that's this Saturday though. The Awakening for IEW. Their premiere show in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. Of course, $5 a person, $20 for 4 plus more of a card load. You must bring your own chairs. It will be outside. Do take your precautions. Also, what I also want to kind of bring up here as well, the following Saturday, it's been announced earlier this week, and it is official, that American Championship Wrestling will be hosting the show in the state of Missouri, of all places. Definitely not in St. Louis County, but I'm not going to go there. But it will be in Franklin County at St. Clair at the Elks Lodge, with the return of Andy and Gabe of the Lumberjacks. And guess what, brother? I'm actually on that card, too, if you could see. And in fact, rumor mill has it that I am going to be fighting somebody to maintain my number 1 contendership for the ACW heavyweight title. And if I win, I might even get a shot that night. So, hey, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to getting in the ring, period.
Probably by the time the show happens, if you look at the bottom right corner, Playboy may not be well enough for that show as well either. So
no. Now I believe it's a 14-day mandatory quarantine on that. I don't know how it works, but
and we were just informed. I think yesterday it was when the office called me. So
yeah, so we do have some shows coming up, and definitely 2020 has not been a real graceful year, not a great year for most people, But we are going to get past it. So, speaking of which, we've got through our openings here, and like I said, we want, play with, whether you hate them or love them, you still...
Hold on. Lynn is kind of drunk if she thinks this looks like cranberry juice. It's not red. I mean, okay.
I mean, I don't know. That looks awfully flat for beer, but I'm just saying, I know none of a beer connoisseur myself. I know what beer really looks and tastes like. So, I mean, I've had it several times. In fact, I'm almost...
Well, we're talking about flat and everything and all that. Is your manager going to be there next week at ACW, or?
No. In fact, probably not. And, but... I've also got other associates that deal within the LTX area. There's other people, believe it or not, that will help the LimeTime Express, and like you, who would like to...
the LimeTime Express?
Yeah, you like to insult my freaking... my locomotive, so to speak. And but we'll get over that.
Choo-choo, bitch!
Yeah. I'm the LimeTime Express, not Thomas the Train. You got to be a big boy to ride this sucker, boy. So, hey, you either get on or get off, because I'm chugging through, man. But speaking of chugging through...
You're making this way too easy on that one. You keep letting your mouth run, too rampant and all that. Why don't you come out this Saturday? How about that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'll have to check my schedule. I might even stop out there Saturday. Who never knows? I mean, because I'm kind of interested to see how IEW takes off. You never know. I might even show up there. So, yeah, we'll take a look. But we're going to move along and actually get to our featured guest of the evening. Okay, our featured guest of the evening has been in the wrestling business for a span of 4 decades. His career started in the early 80s, donning the black and white stripes, but changed his look to a powder blue blazer, ruffled tuxedo shirt, aviator sunglasses, and a cut-off glove in his right hand, becoming one of the first wrestling managers known in the Midwest as the Manager of Champions. And after that, he took on the roles of ring announcer, color commentator, and promoter. He was recognized of his hard work and dedication to the business by being inducted into the 2019 Rampage Championship Wrestling Hall of Fame. Let's give a big Falls Count Everywhere podcast welcome to Blackgove Butch Fletcher. Butch, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what happened?
Hey, thanks for joining us, man. So how you doing this evening, man? You holding up all right?
Glad to be here. I tell you what, 2020 didn't start off me very well.
Yeah, I think this has been kind of the test for everybody in this year, and I think this is probably, this has been pretty much, it's going to be gone down in history for not really a lot of the best reasons, but at least it will be remembered somehow, and to not do that crap again, if you know what I mean. But hey, man, we got a lot of people that are watching here on Facebook. Of course, we're streaming on YouTube, guys. We'll definitely be looking in the comments for both feeds. And if you got anything to say or whatever, you can always ask a question in the chat as well. So, excuse me here. So we're gonna get started and into how it all began and how you're. Let's talk about your love for professional wrestling, how it started. And we're going to talk about some of your best memories growing up. So what wrestling TV shows did you watch when you started with watching wrestling?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got a little distracted here for a second. You're asking me where I started with. I started was actually, I was a big wrestling fan all my life. I grew up watching wrestling with Chase, of course. It was kind of weird way back in the Stone Age season before I was young. My dad actually had aspirations to become a pro wrestler, but he had some problems with heart, so he couldn't have the physical to do it. But I went on and became involved as a photographer. Then I became involved as a referee, and I started making some friends in the area who works in the business, and Juanita, you're right. She was a godsend. I mean, she saw stuff in me that I didn't even see. She said, "Oh, come on down to where we work out at. We do shows every month." I thought, well, I'll try my hand, see what I can do with that. And I wrestled for a real short spell, and then I decided I was probably better as a referee than a wrestler. Matter of fact, I know I was a better referee than a wrestler. And matter of fact, there are rocks outside my house right now that are better referees than I was a wrestler. But anyway.
Wow.
I heard you got a win over the Matt Maniac one, so I heard that one.
I think I may have. I don't know. I may have done that. But
Wow.
yeah, I think I've actually just gotten two victories in my days. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Not over Matt Maniac. Matt Maniac, I was wrestling him. He hurt me too bad.
Uh-oh. Hey, we're getting the call already, man. Let's check this out. All right, you got the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Who's calling?
To Jovi. She wanted to ask her Papa a question.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing.
Yeah. Yes, how you doing, Jovi?
Good.
Good. Well, what did you wanted to ask Papa a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you want to ask?
Go ahead.
Hey, kid, what's up?
What was your favorite match?
I'm sorry,
I
what
didn't make that out.
say it again, hon.
Okay.
What was his favorite match he's ever seen?
What's your favorite match?
Favorite match you've ever seen?
Yeah, favorite match you've ever seen.
I've ever seen?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them, man. I did. I actually, in my day, I scored tickets to Flair versus Race, and I thought, well, I was doing pretty good because I got it from a friend of mine here in St. Louis. He had season tickets and wasn't able to make it to that show in particular. And I was actually thinking, I was good just get in the building. And instead, they were like ringside on the aisle where Flair walked by, Race walked by, the whole nine yards. There were a lot of people on that show too, pre-WWF. There was Dick Murdoch, and there was Roddy Piper, quite a few people on that show that a lot of people forgot about because, the Flair Race thing kind of overshadowed everything. Well, Harley won the title for, at the time, the record,
Wow.
Now
No.
they got it,
Yeah. So before you got into business, was there like any live events that you attended, and any live events or live shows that you saw that stood out as like a super card in your mind before you got into the biz?
It's actually kind of hard. I actually went up to Madison, Wisconsin. I was a referee for the WFIA events up there, which they had some people up there. There were more wrestlers actually. There were people, but the Wrestling Fans International Association at the time was the largest, and was at one time the largest, and it had been around for like 25 years. And there were guys like Adrian Street, Bill Anderson, just a bunch of guys in there playing their trades. I mean, it was good. It was sparsely attended because it was on the waning days of the WFIA, but it was pretty good. It was a good experience. I got a chance to work with some guys there. That was sort of a super show for me because I thought it was a highlight because I'd seen Bill Anderson, I'd seen Adrian Street. Adrian Street was big in Memphis, and Bill Anderson, he was kind of one of the guys responsible for training Sting and Ultimate Warrior both. So, that was kind of a kick to meet him and to be friends with him. I've been friends with him on Facebook for many, many years now.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah. So, I think GQ is going to move on with our next question here for you.
Well, I know I asked, how did you get your chance in getting into the wrestling business? But I'm going to ask it differently. Was you taking photography? You're in the business when you were taking pictures back in the day? Because I know you taken a bunch, even wrestling in the chase photos, that made it even into books and magazines and stuff. So was that your way you got into get involved in the business more?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's also kind of ironic too. There isn't like several days go by that I'll see something on the internet. Usually on the internet, not so much Vegas anymore, but on the internet, there's a lot. And my end was kind of the photography because my dad was one of the guys in the family that would always bring the camera to all the family events. Everybody avoid them, get out of the way, there's Uncle with the camera, don't get in his way, And I kind of picked up taking pictures from there. And my daughter, Lynn, she's picked up actually not taking pictures, but collecting pictures. And that girl probably got, I don't know, better collection than Shutterstock, so I don't know. She's got a lot of pictures of family members that I couldn't identify.
And I know one picture that stands out to me that you had taken was the one with near the back door with Sam Muchnick there waiting on Ric Flair to walk out. And I wanted to try to find that one to have on the show and everything, but I wasn't able to in enough time because with everything going on.
It's kind of weird because those float around once in a while, and when I find them, of course, I try to grab them, put them in my phone, put them in my collection here in the cloud, and it's okay because once in a while I get pictures go up to the cloud that I don't ever see them. The digital era is great, but digital era is also really tough on stuff that's older.
Yeah.
That picture of Ric Flair walking down the steps of Channel 11, a picture of him walking down there was just accident. I took it. I didn't realize it until after the fact that Sam Muchnick was in the background. He's looking right at the camera too. And Sam was a good guy. They did a roast for Sam here in St. Louis at the old Henry VIII Hotel, and I was with Mike Lado. I was kind of helping. I was kind of his local guy, trying to get around places and doing things because it just was an incredible undertaking, and there was a lot of people there, a lot of VIPs there and stuff, but. Sam unfortunately had a heart attack right before the convention started, and he was in the hospital. So Mike Lego and I had a chance to actually go in and talk to Sam just for a short bit. But he had a heart attack before, and it was kind of rough seeing him there. But Sam was a good guy. Sam was like I guess you could say, the father of modern day professional wrestling almost. Him and Vince McMahon, I'm talking Vince Senior. Vince McMahon Senior was, they pretty well ran wrestling, and they ran it with an iron fist too. You didn't screw around with Sam much there. You didn't see Sam getting out there getting punched in the head or worked over or anything, you know. Sam Lipstick was the man. You didn't touch him.
Well,
And
Sam
you
also
sure-
was probably one of the last promoters that you can even do a handshake deal on, and he came through with everything.
Yeah, I think I kind of think that. Oh, Susie's out of the way too. But Sam, from what I understand, the guys everybody have all said Sam's word was his word. That was it. You couldn't change it. You couldn't read anything into it. He was a straight shooter about things. And some of the stuff toward the latter years of St. Louis Wrestling Club, I mean, he had some problems with guys who would no-show his shows. And usually, you know, in Sam's case, he no-showed the show and didn't notify or anything. You were gone, you know. That was it. And a lot of promoters were like that back in the day. And, you know, nowadays, you know, sometimes the promoter can't tell you who's all on the show because they don't know until the people get there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to, it's not as easy, you know, because it was definitely harder to communicate back in those days because, you know, we're talking 70s, we're talking, you know, even 60s, you know, I mean, you have to deal with like phone calls and letters, man. You know, trying to negotiate, you know, on where you got to go, and you know, definitely map out your schedule, you know, where one's going on their next event, and you know, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be able to book an event with the seat of my pants wondering who's going to show up or not, you know, because I sure like to know who's going to show up so I know who to push on, who's going to be on the card, so people can come and see.
Ruby, you know, when you were doing it, you know who you had to specifically invite, though.
We're not going there, please. We're not going there, please. Can we have a decent show, please?
Nope.
God, this week has blown worse than an F5, and I'm not, you know, and I'm trying to find a good positive light on this, but so, you know, you mentioned, you know, you took pictures and then you got in. You actually trained to wrestle, which I didn't know. Who actually gave you your basics whenever you trained and you tried starting off as a wrestler?
I was more, at the time, they absolutely, this was the group that referred to themselves as Outlaw Wrestling, okay? And it was actually on the poster, Outlaw Wrestling. And they had no referee. And I remember I went to a few shows and it was like, I'd see the guys who were wrestling a match, and then 2 matches later they were referees. I thought, well, how the heck do you do that? You know, you need a guy who just basically is a referee and that's it. And that's where I came in. I saw a void, I filled it, and, you know, that was it. And, you know, I became a referee for like 11, 12 years. And, you know, WCW started having the thing with Teddy Long, started taking his alliance over to becoming a manager. So you know, we were working for Frank at the time, and Frank, God bless him, you know, but Frank had to have a referee turn heel. So, you know, the only thing I wanted to do is I didn't want to do it like they did it on TV. I used to argue with Frank about that. You know, people seen the WWE wrestling. People seen the WCW wrestling. They didn't want to pay their hard-earned money to go watch 2 guys play out what was played on TV the week before. So I also kind of started becoming, well, I was actually, prior to that, I was kind of getting into what would be called now creative, you know.
Yeah.
You got to give your shows, you absolutely have to give your shows their own identity. Or the worst thing in the world somebody could say is, oh, that's just what's WWF wannabes. Well, you know, why do you think they're wannabes? Well, he did this, and he did this, and he did this. Good point, you know, and we'll work on that.
Yeah.
If you're a promoter, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. But whenever you were a referee, did you? Well, what promotions did you work for? And is there any match or matches that you officiated that stood out as like something that you're a big part of? You know, we actually maybe officiated like a big name match, or just a match that was just too wild for you to keep writing your mind. You know, I mean, just something that you'll never forget.
Well, I guess my first real, and I won't say big experience because we always had the big guys coming through on the indie scene, and my first really big experience though was of all places, Jennings High School. I refereed Chris Adams versus Iceman King Parsons.
Oh yeah, world class.
I know things are kind of sensitive nowadays and stuff, so I don't want to really get into it deeply. But Jennings is a very racially diverse school there. They're
Right.
and let's face it, Iceman Parsons, he was black, and there was a primarily black crowd out there, and he was trying to be a heel, and it was just frustrating the hell out of him.
Right.
And being from St. Louis, and all the other stuff going on with that, and here's Chris Adams, this proper Englishman with an English accent, the whole 9 yards. He is, trying to be a babyface, and I'm just, oh my gosh, and a little bit of backstory to that too, though. Either the night before or a couple of nights before, Chris Adams has had a altercation in Kansas City with Mike George.
Oh,
who was a wrestler up at KC.
Yeah,
he was also tough as nails, basically. And him and Chris Adams had a little bit of an altercation. And Chris came in with a couple of black eyes, a busted up nose, a couple of teeth missing, and his hand all wrapped up. So after the show, Chris was like, "Hey, can you help me here?" I'm like, "Sure." And he said, "I can't go on a plane with this," because he was bleeding during the match, obviously. And he said, "I can't go on an airplane with blood on my hand. It'll alert them and they'll mess with this stuff." So I wrapped up his hand with caused bandage and stuff. But man, he was a mess. Mike George must have went overtime on him with the ugly stick, because man, it was bad.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Well, it's good. I mean, getting those names in still from world class days when they were still going in the 80s. But yeah, that's some of these guys. Some of these guys, back in the day, you didn't take any flack. If you had something to say outside the ring, and some guys didn't handle it too well, they just either you beat them down or they beat you down. And you gotta take your bumps.
Don't you wish you could go back to those days, though? I mean, honestly, sometimes. I mean,
yeah.
And our venues dumpsters will be full of bodies.
Yeah. Well,
there'll be a lot less cowboy hats whenever Beast gets done.
There's a lot.
That was another shoot.
Yep. But there's a lot of stuff that a lot of guys do nowadays that would get them turned in the dumpster back in the days when I started. Because, they're, the promoter tells you what to do. You go out there, you lay down for a guy. You don't go out there and lay down for a guy, you're done. In the business completely.
Yeah.
And, it's like everybody's kind of split off and did their own thing on the independent scene, but it used to be, man, if you did anything in the independent scene and one of the guys in the big leagues would get a hold of it, you're blackballed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And, there's a, you were talking about world class a while back. And it's funny because I worked with Lance Von Erich, which is the famous Von Erich, wasn't,
Oh, yeah, the fake one, yeah.
He was a good guy until everybody was like gathered around. He all of a sudden turned into Mr. Superstar. I also, I wasn't really crazy about it. His real name's Ricky Vaughn, and I wasn't too crazy about him. But then again, I didn't know enough of him to really pass judgment. Terry Von Erich, I was in Whitehall, and I was taking pictures in Whitehall, Illinois, and I ran across a guy who was helping put on the show up there, because it was a Kansas City group that was putting on the show up there, and it was pretty cool. I thought, yeah, it's kind of cool. There, get a chance to see guys and stuff, and I got called into the dressing room. I thought, what did I do? Or what did I not do? Or maybe somebody seen I had a camera. They want me to take pictures of it. That happens a lot, too. And this guy goes, yeah, Terry Von Erich wants to talk to you. I said, okay, no problem, And, it's funny because he called me sir, shook my hand. Hi, sir, how you doing, sir? And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're okay, man. I mean, don't, he was a little nervous. And I told him, I said, yeah, don't be so nervous, man. I'm only 7 days older than you. You can call him Butch, it's okay. And what they needed was they needed to ride back to St. Louis. And, I was going to provide it for quite a while, and then Terry Garvin managed to find a ride for him. So,
Yeah, wow.
I'm just kind of, wondering about that. But anyway, not saying Terry Von Erich was involved in it. He wasn't. The guy was definitely a gentleman. And for as big a star as he was, I don't think he even realized how big he actually was until he got out of Texas, started going around, and actually seeing the people who just idolized him,
Oh, yeah.
Idolized all the Von Erich, actually.
Yeah.
And, that was good. But, Ricky Vaughn, Lance Von Erich, whatever, he was okay, but he wasn't really anything spectacular. And he kind of had that Mr. Hollywood look about him, GQ, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of people didn't buy into it, though. But yeah, I mean, when World Class was syndicated in different markets, it got out there, and I guess sometimes it just shocks them that it's kind of funny how Kerry just got shocked when he got out of Texas that people were still recognizing him. But yeah, that's pretty cool though. So as a wrestling manager, you I know that you mentioned with Frank, and I think you've been through that through many with many different phases. I guess with the original Heartland Championship Wrestling, and then eventually going taking a break and coming back. You got
to go back even further too. You go back to Central States Wrestling Alliance, and you go back even to the Outlaw days.
Yeah.
They were, and that's another thing too. We recently lost Johnny Yukon, and Johnny Yukon was very instrumental in helping me out too. I know I've had a lot of people help me, and I have, but there's a lot of years there too. And Johnny Yukon ran a group called. It first started off as United Wrestling Federation, and then it became Unidyne Wrestling Federation. And I worked pretty extensively with them too. That was a pre-RCW. And Johnny Yukon, man, he was great. I just liked him. He was a good guy. He was a good guy too. He was a single father. He had a promotion, and he lived in Florissant. And he had a lot of good things going as far as the independent scene goes. And then, as always, when somebody's got something good going, somebody else wants a piece of it. So there started other promotions and there started other people. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because a lot of these groups, if you trace them down, a lot of these groups basically bottleneck down to like either South Broadway or the local groups, like South Broadway and all that. They bottleneck down to South Broadway, outlaw wrestling, stuff like that. I mean, there was a lot of guys. There was Tim Kirk, who was doing shows for South Broadway at the time, and he called me up. He called me up one time and rekindled my career, because I thought I was done. I had a pretty short reign as a referee, and then he called me. He called me and said, "Hey, you want to come referee for me? I'm doing shows." And, man, we must have done every school in St. Louis County. and eventually I went on. I kind of spread out my wings and took it upon myself to call some of these promoters I was reading about in the magazines, and not the real big names, because they wouldn't look at you, but a guy from Wisconsin. I went up to Wisconsin quite a few times actually, outside of the WFIA. Had a lot of good matches up there that I did, that I ran through some mutual friends and stuff. And then I went all the way down to I know the one weekend was really bad for me. I did a show in Appleton, Wisconsin. Okay, and I went from St. Louis to Appleton, Wisconsin for a Friday night show. Then I got in the car and went down to Miami, Oklahoma. Now you got to figure that's all the way down the state of Illinois the long way. Okay,
that's about a 15-hour drive, I would think, right?
Roughly. Now I don't know. That could be right. But I went to Miami, Oklahoma. Then I did a Saturday. No, I take that back. I did a Saturday show. I did a Friday show in St. Louis, Saturday in Appleton, Wisconsin, and then Sunday afternoon show in Miami, Oklahoma.
Oh.
And then I got back to St. Louis just in time to make it to work.
Oh,
or to get up actually at 6 o'clock that Monday morning. So basically, I did nothing but wrestling from the time I got off Friday to the time I went to my shoot job on Monday.
No.
That was a wild weekend.
Good Lord. Now that's road tripping it, boy. Oh man.
That's when you had that's when we all had the energy to do that kind of stuff. Oh, that don't happen no more. That's not going to happen anymore. I'm going to tell you that from any of us.
I couldn't tell you a lot of the route because I think I slept through most of it. I was driving.
Oh, man. No, I mean, if I do any type
I
of
know what that's like. I rode with Ruby while he was sleeping while driving.
Oh, shut up. God.
Ooh.
Not fun, I'll say that at all. So.
Uh-huh. All right.
Hey, but I tell you what, though, seriously, a lot of these guys who are caught, like Tim Kerr, like Johnny Utah, like Bruce Miller, those guys are pioneers. Those are the guys who should be thank God they decided to stay in wrestling because, Bruce Miller was a St. Louis City cop. He didn't need wrestling. He did get it because he loved it. And they all, in their own way, kept wrestling alive here in St. Louis for quite a while on the independent scene. And unfortunately, the St. Louis Wrestling Club was okay till they got bought by KC and Kansas City. Kansas City Wrestling Promotion, Heart of America, whatever it was at that time, they tried to come in and just bicycle a show into St. Louis, and it worked. They were trying to make St. Louis fans into Kansas City fans, and even though a lot of the guys, probably about 75% of the guys, showed up in St. Louis at one time or another, they weren't St. Louis guys in the eyes of St. Louis fans. That's what hurt them a lot, and they should have gradually done it instead of just popped it on up. Here's wrestling education. Now a WWE show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just hoping for the best. I'm hoping that I'm hoping this virus thing kind of helps. If any positive came out of it, to kind of help reset the wrestling world, get everything back onto a more, if you will, a more local thing. Wrestling has always been a local thing. It never really was a national thing, except for a brief time in the 50s, right about the time when TV was starting up,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
exactly.
When Vince took over, he took over, man, and he turned it into WWE show, Now it's not even called wrestling. It's sports entertainment, whatever the heck that is.
Yeah.
Because I always thought sports was entertainment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing to think like what would have happened if somebody else just had the money, and because even Vince didn't have the money at the time, but they had the money to do what Vince did quickly without his influence and stuff. What would the wrestling world look like now?
Well, I can tell you this much right now: if WrestleMania 1 would have swapped or wasn't the spectacular event it turned into, it would have probably cost Vince McMahon everything he had, including the WWE, because he bought the WWE from his dad, and his dad told him, "That's fine, but you miss a payment, you stiff me in any way, shape, or form, it's done. I'll take it back." And Vince Senior had the backing to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know we mentioned and I know that we've you've kind of covered a lot of things here. We've talked about some other names here. I'll tell you what, I'll wrap up on 5GQ, and if you're able to see number 6, you can go ahead and take that. But I'll just wrap up with are there any other notable names here that you've worked with? I know I seen you here. I'm putting up a picture now, and GQ will see here in just a moment with Ricky and Robert of the Rock and Roll Express with the Smoky Mountain Tag Team Championships at the time.
Yeah,
so,
that was in Circleville, Ohio. I guess it was a Smoky Mountain house show. I'm not sure what it was, because I went there to visit somebody and said, "Hey, there's wrestling going on. Let's go see it." Jim Cornette was out there dropping F-bombs and everything. So, it was a Jim Cornette show, definitely. That's the blankest, saddest crowd I ever seen. I remember he tried that St. Louis, and I thought, "Oh my God, what's he doing? He's dropping F-bombs out here." And this was I believe it was Checkerdome. And he was talking about what a blanking sad crowd just looked, and they all looked, like I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to destroy himself in this town." But Vince Russo managed to do that, with coming on there and saying, "Screw Sam Muchnick, screw Jack Briscoe, screw Harley Grace." Vince Russo, I would hope, would never be able to set foot in St. Louis or St. Louis County ever again.
I think he already came back with TNA at the time, so.
Yeah, he did.
But he stayed well hidden, so he wasn't able to be touched by many fans, though, for doing that. So.
Yeah, I saw a TNA show Sabbath Center, and I was actually thinking they had a chance if they could just keep the crew they had, but unfortunately the guys kind of jumped out, jumped in, jumped out, jumped in, and pretty soon you didn't know who was on TNA. As a matter of fact, I couldn't tell you right now where TNA is even on TV.
I think they're making an impact somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere, making an impact.
Yeah.
No, they've actually changed to Impact Wrestling. Dixie doesn't have the influence anymore. She's not with them. They've been doing good. I mean, because they got like some top stars and stuff. I think, isn't that where Brian Myers went? Yeah, Brian Myers is there. Jordan Grace is there, and I think they're maybe on par with ROH as of right now. So it's one of those things like they're competing for a number 3 spot while you still got number 1 WWE and number 2 AEW right now. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then you got to consider too that these companies, these broadcast companies, I mean, man, I would hate to be in a position of working for ROH right now, and because. And they're producing ratings, don't get me wrong. They're producing ratings. But when their ratings start slipping and their TV affiliates quit carrying ROH wrestling, Sinclair's going to unload ROH to the almost lowest bidder. So I hope ROH catches fire and takes off, because it's been smoldering for quite some time at a very strong rate. And but ROH has what it takes. They just gotta figure out a package to put it in. I think if they beefed up their graphics and stuff like that on the TV shows and didn't concentrate so much on the revenues, it used to be Wrestling Exchange only had like a 3-minute interview at the middle of the show. That was it. The rest of it was wrestling, and the wrestling spoke for the angles, it spoke for the upcoming matches and everything else. So,
yeah, but we know WWE and stuff like that have already gone by with that because they rely more on their scripted promos than more of the action in the ring or the sports entertainment, as they call it.
That's fine and dandy. I say let's just put a camera up in a room and put the writers in there and let them battle it out. Let the wrestlers do what the wrestlers do best. That's wrestling.
Yep, there you go.
If they're bad on promos, get somebody in there to train them. They got enough people who know how to do a good promo.
Or
Vince got this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or put them with if it's a heel guy who can't cut a promo for Jack, put him with the manager who can.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I had so many guys out there that I could not speak a word. I mean, I had this one guy that we worked with. I won't say where. I won't say the guy, but I think everybody knows who it would be. At least it's talking right now with us.
Yeah,
this guy was great. He was chiseled, he was cut, he was ripped, he just looked like, the blonde hair, the tanning booth body and everything. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to do it. I said, look, man, just let me say stuff on the interview. Don't say a word, man. Don't say anything. And he got, it was all hot and everything after the match. He got the heel heat up, and he was getting ready to put out there. And the announcer tried to interview him, and I was standing there, and he started talking, and he just did the greatest low, whatever it was there, it did. And oh my God, the audience broke up laughing. It was a face palm. It was a face palm. And, I was standing there, and I even heard Pam, my wife, out in the audience. She said, oh, yeah, what are you going to do, get mad at him, redecorate the bathroom? And I almost lost there. It was, I mean, I have fallen out of character at times, but that was one of the times I just about lost it just from the guy himself, and I begged him, I said, please don't let this thing. Let me do talking for you. You say, yeah, yeah, we're going to get something like that, but don't elaborate. Don't. And he just went out there, did a promo, and eventually I just kind of stood there with what he said, That was it.
Oh, man. Yeah, because...
I know you're not going to say it, but I'm really curious as who it was. So
he was named after a mythological celebrity. Let's put it that way.
Mythological celebrity.
Would it be Greek and Norse mythology?
Yeah.
Ah.
And 4 letters.
Yep.
And at least 2 movies going on 3 soon. Anyway, we're going to keep going now. Moving on.
He didn't carry a hammer to the ring. You didn't think he was Triple H. Or any of the Triple H clones. Any of the Triple H clones floating around on the independent mud show teams right now. Mike Tyson actually thought he was a good guy. He's always sore all the time. As Mike pronounced sore.
Oh, my
okay.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Moving on. Oh, wait a minute. It's my turn.
That's what got me too, just off topic completely now. Since we're kind of doing a freeform here, okay?
Yeah, we're
off topic completely now. You mentioned Mike Tyson. Cartoon Network, I'm mad as hell at you guys for taking Mike Tyson mysteries off of Cartoon Network. That was a great show, and they took it off. It was one of the few reasons Warner Brothers still did animation,
That is
that's us. I won't even tell you, kids, but just take a look at yourself trying to do Mike Tyson there. And, just think about it for a while and think about, do you really want to do that right now? It's not a good thing.
God, man.
It'd be like you trying to be Tyra Banks.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on now before we all start picking our pants laughing. So,
turn the car.
Something.
My turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Giving you a 6, brother.
And I know we not the one that I was, but the one after. So
yeah.
When you were a manager, did you have any specific factions in any of the wrestling promotions? If you could tell us who was in them and who you remember most about them.
Oh man, I got a tape from Memphis, and I stole the idea of Jimmy Hart having the first family. So I started calling him the first family of professional wrestling and all that, And then Jimmy Hart started getting prominent about that time, and it just kind of ruined things for me. Although, I still referred to him as first family. There was just about everybody who passed through RCW at one time or another was a member of the first family. And then we had BGAS Corporation with Al Stevens. And that was cool. I got to work with Al. Al was definitely a good guy. He played the hell out of that role. Oh my gosh. Him and I had a big thing. I think I told this the last time I was on. I hope I don't repeat myself too much here. But we were in Hannibal, and it was a rare occasion when Frank flipped the switch on everybody and made Al Stevens a babyface for a brief time. And I was supposed to be interfering in this match. Well, they had made up this kind of like a kendo stick, but it was a kendo stick that had a a pool stick handle at the bottom of it.
Oh, man.
It's like this piece of bamboo tacked down to the end of a sawed-off pool stick. And the bamboo is split 4 ways, so when they hit it, they get a loud crack, okay? There was a point in the match where these guys were supposed to hold me. And it was after a tag match or something, and Al was getting his part to give it, And I know it was a mistake because Al is a real good guy anyway, but and he comes up, he stands all the way across the ring. And you got to remember, during a ring that's 20 by 20, but from corner to corner, if you look at the exact opposite corner, it's actually, kind of catty corner across the ring. And he's holding this kendo stick thing. And I'm talking to the guys, trying to get away from me, because I'm having to pull away, but they're holding me in place. And I'm like, guys, get the word to him. He's got the wrong end of the stick. He's got the wrong end of the stick, and he's going to come me and kill me with this thing if he hits me with that stick. And sure enough, about that time, he took a run. It took about 4 or 5 steps and smacked me square in the forehead.
Oh, no.
And all I remember is hearing these guys go, well, some made some exclamations that I don't think there's repeating right now. And still I can't watch show. But I felt.
Oh, we had Bill Alfonso. He pretty much said every cuss word possible, so it's okay.
Well, yeah, but I'm my granddaughter's out there and stuff. Okay?
That's really true.
Yeah, it's like she's heard it before. But anyway, so what I did, I hit the ground and I rolled out of the ring underneath the first row of chairs because that's where the momentum kind of took me actually, and I went to get my blade because it was a spot where I was supposed to bleed. And I went under the seats and I thought, okay, here goes I have my blade in my stash area in my glove, And I took it out and I hit it. I just barely hit because I figured if he hit me in this spot, I'm just going to go ahead and open it up, right? Because that makes sense. And I touched the part where he hit me with the blade, and a stream of blood just shot, like sprayed onto the floor. And for the life of me, for the rest of my life, I'll remember that part because I thought, oh my God, what's going on here? I'm not a bleeder anyway, but I was a bleeder that night. And, I was also a fractured skull guy too, but, that's another story too. But, I gotta step in too because I know we're probably going to be running up on time pretty soon or something, but I'm not sure.
No, we got as long as you need.
Yep.
But something I got to say is the young guys out there, and I don't know if there's any of them listening or not because I probably ran them all off by
now.
And wake up GQ. But anyway, the guys out there who are getting started and stuff, I used to hear from the old guys and I wouldn't listen to it. Don't take the headshots. Don't take the neck, the stuff that puts a strain on your neck and your back and your head. You only got one body.
Yeah.
And that body's got to last you about, if you're lucky, it's got to last you at least 70, 80 years. And, I took a lot of chair shots, I'll admit it. It affected me long before I had the stroke. I had a stroke back on January 13th, like I was saying earlier. Ironically, that was I think it was like 2 years after the date that Lee Miller passed away too, But I had a stroke, and I dare say that I can't blame it on that because, let's face it, I'm 60 years old, I'm fat. But at the time I had it, I spent from January 13th till well past my birthday, which is February 1st, in the hospital, and then we had the COVID thing all broke out. So, I kind of disappeared. I kind of faded into the cloud, if you will, so to speak, because I wasn't out there. I couldn't do Facebook and stuff because I couldn't type. I couldn't read. I couldn't.
Yeah.
At the time, I couldn't read. I couldn't, And it's really bizarre to wake up and look at the clock and not be able to tell what time it is. Because you had an analog clock on the wall in my room in the hospital. And that was a scary feeling because I couldn't tell time. And I was old school radio when I trained in radio. We trained on analog clocks. And we didn't have any digital clocks back then, and it was so scary not, and I'd have to ask Sam all the time, say, hey, is that time like 3 o'clock or is that time 4 o'clock, And it makes me feel totally, completely helpless. And I thought I felt helpless before in the past, but geez, after having this stroke, and also too, I'm incredibly blessed. Not being religious here, not being real religious or anything, but I've been incredibly blessed because I have my wife, I have my people who help me out, who prayed for me, who said good words, who was behind me, whether they were calling me at the hospital or not. That's fine, that's cool because I don't call people in the hospital because I don't want to bother them, but there's guys out there who, like, Doc Lombardi came by in the hospital bed, and Mark Borden came by the hospital bed, we talked, and, he said a little prayer, the whole 9 yards, and he, I was really, and there was others who came by, I know, but and I'm forgetting people, and if I forget you, I'm sorry, but I forget a lot of things nowadays. There's just a lot of people in this business around here. They're the Doc Lombardis and the guys who, they know their stuff. The younger guys should listen more to these guys, We're not just doddering idiots. We've lived it. We don't want anybody. I don't want anybody else to live the type of life I've lived after wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, I can't even walk across the room without a cane. That's not good. That's not a good thing. And you think it's not going to happen to me? Well, January 13th this year showed you, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and and there are.
Yeah, you guys can wake up now. It's okay.
No. I mean, no. I'm totally
No, it
listening.
just got more somber, is what I was just thinking and reflecting. So.
Yeah. No, and then it's amazing how the guys that are in this business, how in times can come together, and I mean a lot of the younger guys that. I'm sorry, but I will say that it is important to have a home base, even if you're going to start in the promotion. It's always good to get your feet wet in other areas, and see where else you can go and see how far you can take it. But don't forget where you came from, and even JD Hall even commented on a reposting here of the show here tonight, and he said Butch Fletcher was always one of my favorites. Butch and Al Stevens were fun. And then he said, Ruby, I don't know if you remember Ricky James, but he was a good young bumpy manager, and he died far too young. Which is true. And, none of us are really guaranteed anything. We got to take every day as it comes. And, you can only do the best that you can. Unfortunately, Ricky James, died in a tragic car accident at a young age of 23. A really good guy. I mean, a really good talent that I know he could have went a lot farther in this business if tragedy didn't strike. And life does change. A lot of things. And that's how it is. And you got to take your life. You got to make the best of it with what you can and what you want to do.
Yeah. I'm thankful for everybody I've been friends with. You guys, Luke Roberts, man, he was big during the Max Day stuff too, and he was always a friend of mine. I was proud to call the guy a friend of mine. He's not gone, he's not gone, but there's guys like Doc Lombardi, Frank Reed, and the list goes on and on. It goes all the way back to Johnny Yukon. A guy not many people remember, Paul Hofstadter. I can't speak right now. He's from St. Charles up here. He helped Yukon with the UWF days, and they were a good team together, and they kept things going independent wise. At one time, and this is what a lot of people don't realize too. At one time, Frank and South Broadway were the only things going in Missouri.
Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't that many.
And a lot of people have given a lot to pave the road. Once again, I use the pave the road a lot, but it's the truth. A lot of people have gone through a lot to pave the road that these guys travel on, We're given an incredible resource around here in St. Louis because a lot of the guys have a chance to apply their trade and to develop their own character, which if they've ever been involved in a promotion, characters are developed by them mostly. They'll tell you what you do. They'll tell you how you do it. They'll tell you how long you do it. What name you use, how you dress, how you, even though you buy the stuff, you still told how to dress. It's hard because the guys who are developed on the independent scene right now, 99% of them are doing it wrong. They're either being trained wrong, or they have the wrong attitude or wrong philosophy about things. And they need to get, basically, I'm going to say, they need to get their heads out of their butt sometimes. Start looking around you. Fill a void that isn't there. Don't be a cookie cutter of what you see on TV. Because what you see on TV, next week is going to be changed. It's going to be completely changed, If you're going to be a lasting icon or anything like that, a superstar, if you will, in your hometown area, you've got to stay fresh. You've got to stay consistent to you. Be true to yourself.
Yep, exactly.
And also, for God's sake, I'm going to say it. Watch videotapes, watch your DVDs, or watch whatever you watch of yourself constantly. And if you get to the point where you start looking at it like a fan, I paid some money to see this show, and this sucks. If I start, and believe me, if I start sucking, I want him to get out. I'm not able to perform right now the way I want to be. So I know, I can help advise. I'll help out whatever I can, but I can't do a lot of the stuff I did. And I don't think 90% of the local guys are living up to their potential.
Yeah.
In training, And I'm talking about training. Training is the attitude also. It's not just cutting a pole and going out there wrestling,
Yep. There
It's
is.
the whole history, You're going to learn history in wrestling, because you can't move forward if you don't know your past.
Right. Exactly. There's so many aspects to training and learning about the business and how you can be in the business depending on what role you have. And there, in some promotion, some states that are not regulated that just want to buy a wrestling ring and have, and have them and their buddies just jump around for people who want to come over, for like a group, for like a handful of people, basically just blowing money and then just, it's not going to be a good result at the end. You have to, if you
So they want to go to the state where you don't need a license to wrestle.
Yeah, that's true.
Now that's not saying all the unlicensed shows are not bad. There are some excellent shows out there, but there's some really bad shows out there.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen if they had regulation.
Yep, exactly. And, there was a long time there where I was an advocate of having licenses. And when certain states deregulated, the wrestling scene did turn into what Jim Cornette calls a mud show. Or a backyard mud show, he calls it?
Something like that.
I love Jim Cornette, by the way, too.
Yeah.
There's a guy popped off my wife at a local fast food restaurant that I almost did Jim Cornette went to the window after.
Yeah. Oh man. But I know. But as far
That would
as
have been funny, see my crippled ass up there trying to climb through a drive-through window.
No. Yeah.
I'd actually almost rather see Pam than myself, but that's just me.
Yeah. But speaking of managers here, I'm sure that, Cornette being a good heel manager, and of course you being an excellent heel manager, around where you worked, in whatever promotion that you did work at, Butch. Have you ever had to deal with any fan altercations unexpectedly while you were at ringside during a match? And if you did, is there any way that you can kind of describe what happened?
Well, actually, there's been a few. The most notable was actually the first one I ever had. It was at a drive-in theater, a double-sided drive-in theater. Was up on a hill. One side was one drive-in, and the other side of the hill was another one. That guy was on top of the hill. I keep wanting to say it was in Perryville, Missouri. I could be wrong. But it was a twin drive-in, and it was up on a hill, and both sides of the hill went down to Springs. And the cars all parked on the hills. Well, we had a show where one of the guys that was wrestling was kind of tanked a little bit, okay?
Oh, Lord.
And the other guy was a karate instructor down at the YMCA down in St. Louis, down at one of the YMCA's down in St. Louis. And he knew his stuff. And it came down to where we were talking about the match, and I was refereeing. And I told him, I said, look, he said, hey, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to kick his ass. And I just said, well, look, I'll make the moves, just don't make me look bad while you guys are doing it. And I told the other guy the same thing. I said, don't make me look bad, because I will call the match immediately. Because it's going to look bad anyway. Well, this guy kind of settled it. He just kind of took and the guy who was tanked was a wrestler. He was big. And this other guy was kind of an average sized guy for independent, wrestling. But he come out right after the introduction for day. Bell rings, boom, comes right across the ring at him. Kicks him dead in the chest. Spin kick, foot kick. and the big guy gets mad and just takes off. He said, "The heck with this," and was cussing up a storm and everything. But most of the time we've had sheets. They did pretty quick, and they came back under control pretty quick. I mean, there's been a few when out of control, but usually you get a guy who gets pissed off, and then they'll realize they're in a wrestling match, and they'll get back into working again. But
Yeah.
there's just certain ones that take advantage of people that or may hurt you on purpose or something. That I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, I've seen people do it. I don't like people who go in the ring and hurt somebody on purpose. Sometimes it's for a cause, though. I mean, if you got somebody out there who's just completely not getting it, as far as wrestling goes,
Right.
it's a newbie, put him in the ring against the guy who's just stretching. And either the guy will straighten out or he'll leave. And a lot of times it's been more leaving than straightening out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. I know. But I'll tell you what. I'm always skeptical to wrestle in Arnold, but because the magical yellow security rope never worked in the Arnold Eagle, so.
The Arnold Eagles actually had railings that almost got knocked off of it. I remember that show. I wasn't working for the company, but I remember that show.
I think the only show that they did not have it was when they did the whole Stephen DC show back in February of '98 when DC Chimes was teaming up with the drill instructor. I was there that morning, and I had to join Kirk the show with Brian James at freaking 7:15 in the freaking morning wrestling. And I think these guys probably were just not awake enough yet to start drinking. So thank God. And so a morning.
Sometimes for us is sober.
Yeah, no kidding. I think let's see, GQ. I think he got the next one, man.
Sorry, I was having some computer issues.
Yeah. This is the jerk question I put on you. So.
You think? So we know is that there issues can arise between people in wrestling promotions for various reasons. Is there any beef you have with someone today that you feel is still left unresolved and you're able to talk about
it? You're trying to lead me into this, right?
Ruby put this on there. I tell you that right now. Ruby drinks. Let's just say that.
How do I put it? Unresolved issues. There's a couple. One involves a guy who's a cholo, and no, it's not the guy who is involved in education. It's another guy, a big, huge, fat tub of lard that is a chomo from the word go. I hope he's still miserable where he's at, and I hope someday he gets what he deserves, because he sure didn't get it for what he did.
He's talking about Country Joe Bob or Big Daddy, not the Big Daddy. He used to be the manager, but the fat Whipple's one that used to try to wrestle. Just saying that right now. I'll say the names. I don't care.
He stole the name, too. Brian Barrett's real name. You can look him up, see what he's up to by looking in the sex offender registry. Yes, I'm opening myself up to all kinds of legalities here, but I don't care. Take what I got. I don't got that. Another, since we're talking about feud here, one of the ones we had that was lit on here that never really, it wasn't lit, but it actually came to a head. And, I'm talking about a little bee-eyed monosexual.
A bitch.
Bitch, yeah. And, I've got friends who's got his name, so I won't use his first name, but Mr. Edwards, we got some issues to settle someday. Although right now,
if somebody stays up at night, Mr. Late Night, I'll keep throwing it out there. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, but I'm kind of doing a little bit much here, because I'm not capable of actually following through on this because I'm crippled up pretty much. But I would love to just have a shot. That would be all I need because. No, I might get myself beat, but I've been beat up before. I've been beat up by the best guys,
Yeah.
Well, I've been beat up by Kane. I've been beat up by the best of. It wasn't Kane at the time, but still, I've had guys who, geez, I've had a 400-pound guy do a baseball slide across my abdomen. That was up while I was working for a promotion that basically trained the guy for 45 minutes and put him in the ring, and me in a tag match. He was supposed to take the fall, and then got real showy and did a baseball slide across me and tore up a bunch of muscles in my abdomen. It's still to this day, I could look down and see the muscles in my abdomen. These weird, real weird, easy things. So, I lost all that weight. Now I've got halfway decent ab, but it's all messed up because it looks like a flat tire. Oh,
yeah.
But anyway, But getting back to I'll go ahead too. I'll say, hey, Mr. Late Night, blow it. If that gets you guys in trouble with LimeTime or whatever, I'm sorry, but. He is a little annoying monosexual that
and also your pets are not safe either. So, just saying.
I'm sorry.
Hey, since you can't really describe him correctly, could you get Pam on here for a second to describe Mr. Late Night?
Actually, she's talking to you right now. She's taking her sister over in Illinois.
Hold on a second. I got another shot out in a second. Lynn, could you call in and tell us what you think of Mr. Late Night? We're going to see if we can outdo what the Bill Alfonso show did with the local language in a second.
Yeah. I think Lynn's a little bit more creative with her words, though.
And Lynn comes from a good background, though, where she could actually embarrass the sailor. So,
yeah. Well,
she got it from her parents, but that's good.
Right.
Well, maybe not.
Lynn, yes, you could describe Mr. Late Night and explain him at the same time if you call in.
Oh man.
In 1,000 curse words or less.
Well, too, I refer to him as a monosexual because I don't want to use a term that I don't want to use a term like jack off, like the fifth you should call everybody jack off,
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm going to take a wild guess,
Can
but...
I please describe Mr. Late Night now unedited, or do I need to be edited?
Oh, no. Go ahead. We don't care now.
Great.
We don't care now.
Grade school.
Mr. Late Night, or whatever he wants to go by, I call him Mrs. Late Night. That's going to be his new name, because he doesn't get Mr. anymore. He lost that title a long time ago when he came after my family, trying to be a troll, and went way below the... So... Mr. Late Night came after Dad, came after my family, came after everybody, and thought he was being cool, but guess what? He was not.
No.
Well,
I think this actually came to a head on your radio show.
Yeah, and it's out there floating somewhere. I'm pretty sure it is. And
I would love to see that. I would love to hear that because he straight went off on my family, told my dad he wished he was dead, talked about my children, talked about my brother's children, and yeah, he's a horrible human being. And I cannot wait to see him face to face because one day I will, and it's going to be a fight, and somebody better have a camera.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure just about anybody would have a camera these days.
I basically, I brought up the Mephisto because he used to refer to everybody as Jackoff, and he worked with Mephisto too. Mephisto cut him loose because he was a Jackoff. Mr. Whiteside was everything. I don't know what was wrong with the guy personally. He must have had a complex of some kind. Maybe he wasn't packing a sausage in the pants or something like that. I don't know. But he kept trying to prove himself to be a big guy by lifting off to a bunch of people. I'm surprised somebody didn't smack him around, in some of the promotions he worked in.
Yeah,
I think that's why he left some of them and all that, because that was going to happen.
Standing call for me. So anytime he wants to come and find me, I'm right here.
Yeah, well.
So I just wanted to put that out there. All right, love you guys.
All right, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Love you, babe. Talk to you later.
Yeah, she's gone.
Yeah, that's my daughter. I'd put her against any guy on the face of the earth, and I would bet on her.
Hey. Yeah, well, like you said, but I just, some people do hold grudges, and but with some good reasons, and I could get somebody's attention saying, how, I've carried several people when we formed tag teams, at least with one, but when, but we won't go there. We won't go there at all. So
now your wife is going to get upset with you if you keep talking about her like that.
This is a competitive wrestling tag team, Butch. I'm not talking about my wife.
I just caused the rift at the Ruby household. I apologize, hon. I really love you. I just don't hit him too hard.
Butch. It was the first woman he was with before his first two marriages. So it was the first woman.
Oh,
the biggest scam artist, eBay mother. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on.
Don't do much to me, but
So
and I according to people, I'm a terrible putting character. So that's why I hang out with you guys. So.
Right. Yeah,
I gotta say something. Both you guys are stand-up guys, Sam, and I would see. I wouldn't have any problem if you guys asked me for help anytime on your show or whatever. Because you guys are all right. You guys are there.
Well, I'm glad you offered that, Butch, because GQ's about out the door. So, I'm joking.
Yeah, no. He's out the door.
He's not happy right now.
He's going to start picking on my girlfriend next.
Shoot, man. So, I'm going on to my next question here, because we were talking about wrestling promotions and guys who need to be trained properly. Is there anything that you could change with today's wrestling promotions on the independent scene? If there is anything that you could change, what would it be?
Yeah, the guys who are booking or promoting or doing both or whatever they're doing, and present company accepting here, but guys, learn to put a damn program together. And I'm not talking about just for one night. I'm talking about if you plan on being in a place for a while, you need to make sure that you know when you book next, when you should be promoting your next show the minute your first bell rings. You don't have your main event you don't tell the main event until it becomes obvious what the main event's going to be. But put yourself, instead of just one night of wrestling, put yourself in a long-term program. Get these guys in the ears who know how to tell a story in the ring. And I know people go, well, what the hell is tell a story in the ring? But, first off, that guy's wearing a strap of leather around his waist. That belt should be the most important thing in that person's life, and just for that night alone to win it. And keeping that strap is the most important thing. You put that strap on. That's your representation that you're the best, and you got to keep that at all costs. If you're a heel, if you're a face, you keep it through peace, love, and understanding, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But that belt has to be important, and the promotions have taken the importance of the title out. It was like I was telling Pam a couple of nights ago. I was watching WWE, and I said, "Man, they're going to have to hire more people after the COVID virus because they're going to have to fill their championships."
Yeah. Well,
the other thing though too is to do a program. It's not that hard. You do bios on the wrestlers that are your mainstays and everything, and you can keep reselling it every friggin' show you do. And then you have one extra item in there is the insert that has the match lineup if you can do it early enough. Which we know that so many times, how many times the stuff changed that didn't happen like they were supposed to. So,
yeah, and have tickets at your next event. I mean, if you're doing a show, like say, if we're doing a show in my case at Max, okay? We went two main places I was at, okay? Jerseyville and oh shoot, I went blank again. And I knew it was going to happen eventually at some point in this.
Troy.
No,
Troy, Illinois.
Not Troy. It was the other one from the south.
Bowling Green?
No, I'm blanking.
Bowling Green?
No.
I'm just trying to see where we're still in Missouri.
So down there where my car caught fire.
Oh, hold on. Shoot, I know this.
So, yeah, and I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody who did. If you're out there, there's people who did support us down there in Cahokia. I didn't mean to forget you. It's my stroke that did it. Sometimes I do forget things, but I tell you what, that's the thing, though, guys. You got to make those championship belts the most important thing in your promotion. Your heavyweight champion should be the heavyweight champion. Not a guy who just happened to come in this week and we're going to put the title on him, like they're doing in WWE now, because I think the value of the championships and the championship belts have been really cheapened by all these brand splits and crap like that don't seem to work out for Vince very well. But I'm not blaming Vince for everything, because it goes all the way down to the independent promotion.
No,
I actually agree with that 100% there.
Yep.
We've got guys more titles than they do full-time active wrestlers that don't pop in for visits, and gotta make those belts like worth something to the fans. The fans got to be able to see it and go, wow, that's a good looking belt. We just, he's defending it proudly. Take it on some, bring in a little bit of that tradition, but don't beat the fans to death with it.
What confused me though, when I started watching like NWA, like back, like in 84, 85, I'm seeing like all national heavyweight championship, United States heavyweight, United States tag, Florida Tag, Florida Heavyweight Championship, Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight. I'm like, I got confused. I'm like, who's the real champion here? Because it's like, because you only see Ric Flair come out in the promo. You know, it's like there's so many belts. Like if you're in the territories in NWA, you know, you just about had, you know, anybody there was basically had a belt. You know, unless you were the Mulkey brothers, but you know.
You know what's a good thing to look up sometime, and I'm sure you've done it, guys. Not many people have, but a guy named Gary Will, I think it's his name.
Yeah.
Put out a history of all the championship belts he could get together with. And I mean, you know, found out by reading that quite a while back that the Missouri State title goes all the way back to the 30s and the 40s and all that. And, you know, there were guys who held the Missouri State title, you know, and there's the Central States Championship, you know, and all that, you know. I think Casey Carrington held the Missouri State title in its latter incarnation. But he was a good wrestler. He came from there. You know, a lot of guys don't want to admit to it, but, you know, a lot of guys don't want to admit to it, but he did come from that. He started off with that. He took off and he did well. Casey Carrington.
Stunning Shane Marks. Just saying.
Yeah, back when Maxie was studying Shane Marks. You know, and then he gave Casey Carrington. So, you know, that was cool. But he was good. He was very, very good. And I definitely think he deserved all the accolades he got. But, you know, you don't do there, you see names of guys who've held these regional titles, and you don't think, you know, that they were even in those areas. But, you know, I mean, how many people would guess that Ric Flair held the Missouri State Championship?
Yeah.
You know, he held it briefly. After he lost the world title to Harley Race, he came back and won the tournament for the Missouri State Championship. And then he dropped the Missouri State Championship before he went back and beat Race again for the title.
Yeah.
I think that was at the original Starcade, too.
Oh, in 83? Oh. I have to take a look. At that. Let's see. I think GQ, I think you're up next here. We're getting into double digits now with the questions.
Okay, let's lock this up. Let's turn this up a dial. We'll turn it to the max now. Back in 2004, you ventured into New World, becoming a promoter, and started up the promotion known as Mid-America Extreme, based out of the St. Louis Metro East Division of Illinois. Can you tell us some of the best moments you had running Max, and looking back at it, would you change anything about how it ran? And I'm going to sit back for this one. I already know all these answers, and it's going to be wow.
Hindsight is 20/20. I'll tell you that right now. So I can't really say there's a lot I would have done. The first show, obviously, that was going to be the crowning achievement of everything, because it was just perfect venue, perfect timing. You know, I had a bunch of people there. I think it was...
Except for the fact that the people at the church didn't know how to spell with the diddly squat on the screen.
Well, you know, sometimes... What do they say? Something, you know, I appreciate the guys for giving me the opportunity to show there. There was a lot of things that were saw to me that I should have fact-checked. I should have double-checked. I really had no idea they were going to do... I knew they were going to do TV, but I had no idea they were going to do graphics along with it. And they had that sophisticated of a layout in there that we could do that. Or I would have had things set up a lot better than they were. But that was kind of... It was kind of on me, too. I mean, I'd planned out pretty much every second of the show, but, you know, it's still... There's certain variables that pop up that, you know, you're going to have to catch. And I just need to get some of the graphics were misspelled. it was all a work in progress though at the time too. I think all in all, everybody, some people complain that they made people stay for the intermission. That I think there was some disgruntled. There were some other promoters that were there that were disgruntled and wanted to crap on the show. So the only thing they could really find with the show that they had a problem with was getting the religious sermon during the intermission. And what can I say? That was popped on me last second too. It was like, hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this long. So you guys got to hold off while we do this. And I'm like, okay, no problem. It's their property. You can't tell them what you're going to do.
Hey. Oh my goodness.
Your turn, Ruby.
Okay. Yeah. So if you had a chance to go back in time, would you still consider starting up a wrestling promotion like Max, or would you continue in a role working for a promotion?
Knowing what I know about the promotion now,
yeah,
and the whole volatility of the thing, hell no. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I said it, and I hope I'm not crossing the line here by saying this, but I said it before. I'll say it again. Before you see me put on a wrestling show, I will put a gun in my mouth, pull the trigger.
I don't think you have to worry about doing that, Butch, because I think Pam would do it for you.
Right.
Well, I don't know. It did a lot. It took a lot. I changed. And it's not, I'm not trying to make anybody feel sorry for me or anything like that. I went into it with my eyes open, and I knew it was a risk. And I knew it would eventually someday end. But I just didn't think it would end as short a time as it did. I mean, we lasted 13 months, so that was pretty good.
Yeah.
As long as let's do it our celebration for 1 year anniversary at the location we were at, I don't know if that was going to work or not, because I think once the people saw what we were doing there, they didn't really like what we were doing, and I think some people who weren't at the show and had nothing to do with it, except spending the money we made for them, had some stuff to say about it, but they never said it to me. They were perfectly happy with me from what I was told. So, but I got the impression later on down the line that there were people who were definitely against wrestling at that time, and
Yeah. Well, I mean that's. Yeah, so I guess we won't know. As far as like what type of adventure, or what type of ventures, the result that comes from it, until it actually happens. I was pretty much in the same boat with you too.
I can eat my words completely. Completely, I can eat my words. Next week I could see lightning in a bottle and go, hey, this might work. Let's do it,
Right.
I'd be in a whole lot different role. I'd be a whole lot more fiscally responsible, as in, a ticket sure wouldn't be the price I was charging for,
Yeah.
It'd be a little bit higher. And, people say, oh, well, the independents, I saw the independent a while back. They had tickets for like $25. And, people said, well, that's a little high, isn't it? I said, oh, yeah, kind of, but you got to realize there's money. It takes money to run a promotion.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's good to do it for fun, but when you start actually having to put money down on the table for a training center, for venues, for a ring, for even the bell,
Yeah.
a lot of guys don't realize there's a lot of stuff involved in that. And we didn't even touch the concussion fans. all of our places had concession stands already there. And they got them. But if you run your own concession stand and stuff, that's a phenomenal cost to the promoter, you know?
Oh, yeah. 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 So like I said, I've ventured into that myself, and well, you know, I will say it's definitely a live and learn experience, and learn from it, you know, and then take it with you, you know. So
even the guys who come from wrestling families, stuff like that, who know what they're getting into, they don't make it. You know, sometimes they don't make it, you know, with their own promotion and stuff.
Yeah. Tennessee's
a real good example of that down there, you know. I mean, they have places they're making good money with, and they still want to make it, you know, as a promotion, they won't make it, you know.
Yeah. It's true. And it's also how often you know, what names you bring in, and you know, if you're going to have sponsors, you know, I mean, you got to draw money somewhere, you know. And,
well, you know, sponsorships are okay, but, you know, actually, I was of the opinion, and I still am, at the state that the independent wrestling scene around St. Louis is in, they're better off, instead of bringing in names, they're better off just to, I mean, we brought in a name, we brought in Ponto, but for the most part, my mentality was, we could make our own name.
Yeah.
You know, spend that money, you know, that money you spend bringing somebody in, spend it on the guys. Spend it, you know, I mean, I'm saying spend it on the guys. A lot of our issues, money issues. It wasn't the wrestling, it was the money issues.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's where you gotta have your act really together, you know.
Yep, exactly. So
I still wish Pondo would have stabbed his manager that night, though. I'm just saying. Ruby, you know his manager. He's also a DJ sometimes, kind of.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
We need to have restraining orders on places.
Yeah, true.
Well,
honestly,
that's a shotgun one.
Yeah, the only controversial Pondo story that I know of is back in '97 in Poplar Bluff, where and I know Butch will know the name when I say Buckskin Jim. Buckskin Jim. He was a tough customer, and trust me, Buckskin was trying to bend Pondo a little bit, but he wasn't having none of it. And the fight carried outside the ring, and next thing I know, I hear a big thud on the outside when they were both out there, and apparently the thud was from whenever Pondo DDT'd Buckskin right on the freaking floor. It was carpet, but there was really no insulation underneath it. And
carpet could be worse than a hardwood floor sometimes.
Yeah. You want to talk about a night that got crazy? The police had to come in there pretty quick because Buckskin was threatening to go out to his truck to grab something. And if you know Buckskin, you know what he carries usually. And that had to get intervened real quick. So,
well, we had a situation too in St. Anne. RCW did. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Gee, I don't know. Where is St. Anne? No, I'm joking.
A fan jumped up to the ring, and I saw Frank holding on to this guy with a death grip from outside the ring, trying to pull back out of the ring. I ran down there, and about that time, everything broke loose, man. That was actually a full-blown riot there. They had... I'm surprised he didn't come in and say the show's closed. Because, you know, I know it was pretty wild, and I know, the individuals one of the individuals you mentioned earlier had a guy by the arm who was throwing some racial epithets at him and bagging him on the back of the head with a fist. And, it's just, it's where it comes from, but there's still no excuse for it,
Yeah.
And he was roughing that guy up pretty good, but we were throwing people out of the building because there were people who were wanting to fight everybody,
Yeah. Exactly.
I usually found out in those cases where you have all hell break loose and people start fighting with each other, find a worker and start working punches on each other,
Yeah.
Tell them, say, hey, hit me. Hit back, Or you need to go, cut the top of my head off, I don't care. I'm not gonna fight some guy out here who might have a knife or anything worse,
No.
And
Yeah.
we had one show we did. It was an early show I did with Frank.
Yeah.
Well, we had bikers. Sorry, my voice is getting some pops right now. But we had some bikers standing around, and they were displeased with some of the heels. I was a referee back then. But they were displeased with some of the heels, so they expressed their anger by, let's just say, exposing their manhood.
Oh, no.
Standing there at the security rail with their and I mentioned to somebody, one of the guys running it, because I don't think I was that tight with Frank back then. But I said, those guys are going to get us arrested. That's the second time I've done that too, by the way, because there was another place I did it where a woman was splashing us. The guy got a hold of the promoter and told him, he was there. And I told him, I said, get her out of here because she could get us arrested. And these guys all, and finally when we asked them, hey, put stuff away, and they pulled out other guns that looked a lot more realistic, and we decided it was time to wrap up things. Did these people I did.
Yeah, I bet.
I think I lost it on the fact that other guns look more realistic. And I was like,
right? Oh, man.
Yeah, they weren't the one I wanted to were. They were
Wow.
very good in caliber.
Oh, shoot.
And
moving on.
We're moving on. So, Butch, out of all the time that you've been involved with professional wrestling, is there any moment or accolade that you would consider as your greatest achievement?
Well, I would have to. There's no doubt about it. And there's somebody got my disc of it. But I mean, the first show we did for Max at all, it was just proof that if you go out there and you hustle, you can get people interested in wrestling. Now we had Alton, a town that had a few of our independent shows came through. Did shows like over at Mr. Rainey TV at the time, and I don't think many people were doing any shows though in there at the time. And by the way, guys who did shows in all after me, you're welcome. That's all. And it's interesting because while I was doing that show was like I said, it was a kind of crowning achievement of everything, And the problem was though, the preacher who was our go guy, our guy who was the guy who set up the show and everything with us there. He said he was approached by 3 different promoters to put on shows in his venue.
Huh.
During our show. So yeah, you know, you got this little kind of brotherhood of guys who showing up there. They're out there sticking it to you too. So you know, it's not necessarily that they're bad guys or they're terrible people or anything like that. They're just trying to say we got a better program we can put on. I don't think she's got a better program than that. If that's sold for that talk than that. But yeah, I'll take a little part in it because the guys work their asses off, and girls too. You know, Mischief was there, and she did a match. You know, everybody worked their asses off and did great on that show, and I've got nothing to hide about that show. There's a few glitches in it that, you know, like I said, but you're going to have glitches when you have a show. You know, it's just going to happen. It's how you recover that makes that makes a success or not. I think that night pretty well. Things went pretty much right to the letter almost.
Yeah. Well,
I know, to add to the question, I know there's another one. If Ruby could put the picture back up, I know you just took it off of there. As a great achievement for you would have been, because I know, because I was the one that inducted you, was when you got inducted into RCW Hall of Fame this past December.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame was big. The Hall of Fame was big for me. The Hall of Fame was just a big experience for me, just because I'd heard about it for so long that I kind of kicked the rest. Somebody's trying to call in, and they're just going to have to wait. So, you know, if it's Lynn calling me, please, you know, just wait. I'll be done with this. But no, the Hall of Fame was a big thing for me because, first off, they all fell together, and I don't know if it was done by design or if it was what, but it was like at the Masonic Hall and all. Alton was my hometown. I spent my first 46 years in Alton. I spent 47 or so of it. But nonetheless, Alton was my hometown. Alton was the guys who, when I was in school, when I was at junior high school, they were telling me, oh, that pro wrestling crap is fake. It ain't never going to do nothing, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, here I am, you know, 40 years later, you know, I've worked with some of the greatest teams in the business. And not so much maybe the superstars as much as the guys who are just great guys. My friends. And when I was inducted, like I told them, I was born like half a mile away from the Masonic Temple. I was born there. I grew up in North Alton. And to be inducted in the Hall of Fame in my very own hometown, it was bigger than I really, you know, I emphasized it a lot, but it was really bigger than I let on. And, you know, it was kind of a way to go, hey, you know, I don't know if people could see it because it was kind of a thing we hear for wrestling families, but it's kind of my way of saying, hey, up yours, people, because, you know, I did it. I've wrestled you guys on Piers. I've wrestled you guys on Piers as one of the best. And that is an honor that I believe not many of the guys have had that are more deserving of it than me. And I want to make sure that gets rectified in the future, too, because I'm going to speak up about it. I mean, you know, and I think we're going to be a little more hard. If I see somebody who looks like crap, I think I'm going to tell them. They tell me, hey, how do you look? You look like crap. You need a lot of work, you know. I'm going to start being a little more honest about it because I ain't got that much time to tell the truth about things anymore, you know. I mean, you know, I turned 60. When I was in the hospital for a stroke, I turned 60. And, you know, I'm not going to play around anymore. I want to make this better when I leave this earth, I want to make the wrestling better. I want to make life better, hopefully, for those around me and those I'm involved with. And I want these guys to get the passion again. Get to where they're telling their people at school, "Hey, I'm going to be a wrestler when I grow up." Well, I never became a wrestler, but I became involved in wrestling. And I worked with a lot of the guys I saw on television. I'm incredibly honored to do so. But all the way from the littlest guy who's fresh out of training to the guy who Harley raced, 7-time NWA world champion, Don't get much better than that. That guy wrestled all over the world. And I got the chance to work on shows with him, and it just kind of leaves me speechless and in awe sometimes. Because I don't really look back at everybody I've worked with in the past. There's times like this I look back and I think, yeah, I don't need to be here. This isn't my spot. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be watching these guys from the audience. I'm not supposed to be, doing stuff up in the ring or in the back room around things. But I'm glad the people made me feel like it's a place I belong, because I spent all my life feeling like I didn't belong. And wrestling was where I fit in.
Yeah.
And believe me, guys just like you guys up there, Tim, Rick, you guys go out there and try to make wrestling better on the local level. Guys like Herb Simmons, over here in Illinois, FICW, he does a good job. The guys in South Broadway, they're doing a good job. Even though the COVID right now is kind of putting a damper on things, they're still trying to make wrestling better, I mean, the past is okay, but the past is dead. Let's work on the future now, and that maybe the COVID thing will turn wrestling around and make it start focusing on the future.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Let's face it, we're all living in the future no matter what, because every minute we're alive, we're living in the future. You may as well make it good for the next guy coming around, because I tell you what, the next batch with the COVID and everything coming up is going to have a rough time. Going to have a rough time having fun in life. And you better make it where these guys can, enjoy what they do.
Right.
And lately, it hasn't been where people have enjoyed what they do very much. So it's got to turn around somewhere, somehow.
Oh, yeah, it will.
This thing ain't going to go away. It's going to be around in some shape or form, no matter what.
Yep.
You just got to make sure it's good, and make sure it's safe, too. Make sure we don't have 19-year-old guys that do their careers, before they even started.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Let's see, GQ, I believe you got the next one.
So is there any names that you've worked with in the Midwest territories that you feel have given a great deal to this business but not getting the proper recognition for what they achieved yet?
You. Not hooking up, but you. Doc Lombardi, man. He's a prime guy. GQ, that maniac, he does a lot. I mean, you look at every guy who wrestles and he's done a certain amount. There's a lot of guys who things look like they're doing it for themselves, but let's face it, if they're smart in this business, they can't do anything for themselves without doing something that elevates everybody else around them. Because if you're around a bunch of stumblebums, it don't matter how good you are. If you're around a bunch of stumblebums, nobody's going to want to see you work. And I've been incredibly grateful because I've had people who allowed me to be creative and do my thing, put my spin on things, even though Blackgove Butch Fletcher was kind of a hybrid creation because I used my real name, and I just couldn't see making the transition like a Paul Heyman to a Paul Lee Dangerously or something like that. I just figured, what the heck, and I've enjoyed myself a whole lot, and I know I'm never going to do another match again. I know that. That's something I've had to tell myself for years now.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, it's just, it's take pride in what they do. Take pride in what you do, man. Because if you have that title's the most important title in the face of the earth, man.
Yep. Exactly.
And
exactly.
You've delivered pride to get that title. And that passion's not there anymore. Because you see these guys rotating the WWE Championship. Well, let's see. He's been here a while. Let's give him the title, Yeah, it's good shit, Yeah, right,
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. It's become predictable.
All right. Well,
Bray Wyatt, I think, is if they would let him go and be more creative with that character could go to the moon.
yeah. Yeah, very true.
But they're
No, I agree.
Yep.
They're still working on it too, so they haven't given up on it. But
Yep.
they're still working on it too, where they're putting the Wyatt family together, which could be a good thing too. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, I've talked to you guys. Like, I've brought up the death rate. Listening on it. I'm sure that some people probably die while listening to this.
Yeah.
No, we still have all the listeners that we had.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. We're still going here. So, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty here.
We got two more left. That's good. We got two more. We're good.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned your health situation with you having a stroke. And you mentioned how you're not allowed to drive anymore. I mean, is there anything? Well, I had you scheduled for like a later week, but we moved you up because I think because there's a certain health procedure that you had to go through.
Yeah, I have a issue actually. Part of my I guess it's part of my diabetes and my arthritis both. It's called trigger finger.
Oh, okay.
And it's where you can't you get to where you can't unlock certain fingers. And I had to go. I was scheduled next week to undergo a procedure where they actually operate on my hand.
Wow.
And release what they call release the trigger fingers, which is it's a fairly simple procedure. It's done on outpatient, but still, it's they're going to have to put me under. I just found out today they're going to have to put me under for it, and put me through the COVID test and all that stuff ahead of time. So a week from now, I should be in recovery. So but I've had it before on my left hand. And things are working out pretty good. It's still a little stiff, but with the help of some CBD infused cream and stuff like that I purchased at TBE shop, which I don't advocate necessarily smoking weed, but I do advocate the medicinal use of CBD because it works, guys. And
Do you have a good place to recommend for getting CBD items?
Actually, in St. Charles, you happen to mention that. Actually, let me see here. On the back of my phone, I happen to have a sticker here. Yeah, and it's a CBD sticker for CBD shop. It's a good shop. It's a real life shop. It's called Green Dreams.
Green Dreams.
And it's located. Yeah, it's Green Dreams, and it's located on Mid Rivers Bowl Drive.
Sounds like
And
something that
it's
sounds like something that the LimeTime Express can get behind too. So
Yeah, it's actually. The thing of it is that I don't think they've really touched as much as they can on CBD research and see. I was one of the most churchier guys. I didn't believe in drugs. Heck, up until recently, I didn't believe in a lot of painkillers either. Give me painkillers, please. But they're located up there, up on 3030 Mid Rivers Ball Drive. And that's up at Mid Rivers Ball, roughly by where Mexico Road crosses over at it.
yeah,
And you got a good, knowledgeable staff. I mean, man, they got great knowledgeable staff. And, when you get in there, tell the manager I said hi. Because, that's important. They know, they heard about it on LimeTime Radio,
yeah.
Yeah, and you get a 0.5% discount on that one.
Yeah. Hey,
Always get,
pays
only
out
if
better
you
than an
mention
expired
my-
coupon, brother.
only if you mention my birth name.
There you go.
Ain't
The
nobody
manager-
been around long enough to know your birthday, Butch.
The manager there would know my birth name. So actually, the manager and the assistant manager were both know my birth name.
I almost would drop it right now after you said the wrong name earlier, but I'm not going to.
Please don't.
Oh my God. Well,
I'm only referred to my birth name, and no, my real name is Fletcher, by the way. But my first name, I only see it, afterwards on paperwork. It's either defendant or patient.
yeah.
So, how way to go with it,
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, all things considered, I know we got to get winding up here because I've been yakking away and.
So the final one that he always sticks me with, because he doesn't want to be the one to get somebody to say something they shouldn't. I don't care right now. So, what are some memorable road stories in wrestling you could share that are funny or that have stuck with you and that you're able to tell without getting divorced?
And by the way, I want to intervene because at least there's one that I saw last night that Butch shared, and this I'm gonna have to read to you. And if there's any more details or if there's something funnier, Butch, you're gonna have to let us know. But I'm gonna pull it out to you here. I'll probably give about a 10-second layover here. But Frankie D was making a post last night on Facebook on what he remembers. If anybody remembers, what they remember with him from wrestling. And all that. And of course, I chimed in. Of course, Frankie D taught me my basics, got me my training, and then got me underway with the show. But Butch writes here, we did a show together for Frank. Our Central Stage probably at East Nauvoo, Illinois. I'm in the parking lot of the Nauvoo International Convention Center and Bait Store. It was right between Walmart and the People-Rama in their George W. Wallace Memorial Strip Mall.
Hey, wait a minute. That's Nauvoo, Illinois.
Nauvoo. There you go.
Navoo. And if you look it up on Wikipedia, it's like one of the homes in America for the Mormon Church.
Yep. Right.
That says everything you need to know so far. So.
Yeah, so apparently it was an oppressively hot day, and the guys were up to their old pranks. So during Frankie D's match, Matt Taylor and Butch stole the cooler and took it out to the Heartland Wonder Bus. And then after his match, stole the bus and drank everything in the cooler. So you all got bored and drove the bus to the VFW where a competing promotion was doing the show and picked up 15 vets and went to the strip bars in Nauvoo and a place called the Vertical Smile. You traded some veterans for strippers and took the party on the road. Got pulled over by a couple of Nauvoo police who gave us their stashes they confiscated to come party with you guys. You sat in the stairwell of the entrance and shot at mailboxes that you would pass. Eventually made it back to the show where you were joined by 6 Illinois state troopers who also partied with you. Woke up in the parking lot, passed out in a shopping cart, still clutching the trooper's pistol. The cart eventually fell over, picked yourself up and walked to the venue. Someone had left the door open, so you staggered into the dressing area, got your stuff. You started the car and told it to go home. What, you got a kit car or something? So,
You know how many nights I was so grateful that car knew how to get home, because I sure did.
So you're like, I slept and don't know how. So you slept and you didn't know how you made it back. The next morning, you went to get your car, and in your driveway was an Illinois State Trooper vehicle. It was empty with the door open. The middle of that day, you got a call from the Nauvoo police. Found your car in the middle of the parking lot of the Walmart. Your insurance paid to have the car towed, to be towed home, and you took the police car back to Nauvoo, and they found the Wander van in Southern Illinois. The seniors had taken it to make their escape, and everyone lived happily ever after. Oh my God!
I got nothing to compete with this. We are done on this question from now on. Nothing's going to compete with that story.
See, this is the dirt.
Don't leave me with a cell phone and hydrocodone and the ability to write, which I'm taking advantage of now too, because I couldn't write after my stroke. But man, I tell you what, my brain goes weird places sometimes.
I have a couple of questions though. What was the ratio on veterans for strippers? I mean, how did you trade in some of the veterans for some of the strippers? I mean, was it 1 for 1, 2 for 1, 1 for 2?
We let them figure the value, because some of those guys were in pretty bad shape, but some of them were in pretty good shape. So, it's kind of like trading cars,
Trading cars.
Do you know if you drove? Do you know if you turned the light on when you left with the police car?
No. Once I like lights, no, I wouldn't do that.
I don't know. This almost sounds like Cannonball Run to me, if you ask.
No, try again. Smokey and the friggin' bandit.
I tell you what, the stuff that's made up isn't nearly as good as the stuff that really happened.
Yeah.
Like a certain superstar got extremely drunk up in northern Illinois and tried to tackle the Heartland Wonder Bus, which was a short bus. Not so much said for that there, but it was a short bus they picked up, and somebody got bored one afternoon. They were sitting around drinking. They got bored and painted it blue with white stars on it. And it was actually an old school bus. And they used that for a long time. And I don't even know where the Wonder Bus is now, but God, I hope it rests in peace, because it deserves it.
Oh my God. So does any other story top that, or is that pretty much the most probably wild and wackiest?
I think that just ends it right there. I think that ends that one. I mean,
I can pick up some better ones for next time.
Oh my God. Yeah, we need to have like a old school round table with like, hey, at the show after the show, pretty much.
Well, the things I could tell about him, about excuse me, I had a little twinge. Things I can tell about GQ. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
So that's our show for the night, everybody. Let's go on and get out of here now.
Single is not a lot to tell them right now. You know, but no, I'm serious, Steve.
Wow.
You know, I've had a lot.
I need to lock the door to my office right now. So.
Oh my God! You need to lock the door to the office for other things, not just this, sir. I'm just saying, you're not going to come out.
Anyway, we would like to thank you, Butch, for coming onto the show.
Well, thank you guys for having this exciting 3.5 hours or so that's been going on. Wait a minute, it was 8 o'clock, right? It's 2.5 hours. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, 2.5 hours, man.
They think you're adventure, man.
Oh man, no, but
It's good.
Yeah, so so it was awesome having you on here, Butch. And once again, thanks for doing this for us, and we're definitely going to have some exciting shows here coming up here, but definitely a great time here tonight. Wanted briefly, real quick, wanted to segue here because next week, I know I pushed it last week, but with some changes that were made, of course, with GQ talking about it at the beginning, we will have the Irish Devil Douglas O'Shea next week as our featured guest, and it'd be kind of interesting here to how Douglas O'Shea does in IEW until. For this coming
we still
Saturday.
figure out what he's going to do. I told him to be there at the show, so he will be at the show. We don't know exactly. I'm going to confirm and find out what's going on.
Yeah, I might even just float around just to see what's happening. And
I'm sorry, gravity will stop you from floating anywhere.
Oh my Lord. Anyway,
well, I'm grateful for you guys because it gives me a chance to give me I can stay alive now until the next show you have me on. So.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, absolutely, Butch. Well, definitely, we thoughts and prayers on your upcoming surgery next week, and definitely thank you again for coming on and definitely giving us entertainment, giving us knowledge, and definitely. The guy who's done his time in his business, and definitely very much appreciative on what you've contributed and what you definitely don't be a stranger in the business if you can. Always reach out to the brotherhood. You know that.
You definitely give me more credit than I deserve, but in the same vein, you guys are keeping things going right now, especially during real tough times.
Yeah, absolutely.
With everything going on, we need to definitely get wrestling placed back firmly in the I almost said in the annals of St. Louis history, but that wouldn't be right word to say.
Yeah.
Back in the lifestyle of St. Louis wrestling, because I think we would do it, but it's just gonna have to have a total reboot.
Yep.
Completely.
Yep. Yeah, but but we will carry on, and we'll build stronger. We'll come back even better. So we'll get through 2020, and we'll see. Yep, we're gonna get through this year, and then we're gonna get on to something better. So once again, my friend, thank you. Mr. Q is looking to get out of here because I'm sure he's got other things to address, and so hey. Why not? I got things to do here too. But hey, guys, we thank you very much for joining us here. And once again, this was episode number 16 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. And we will see you next week, episode number 17. The Irish Devil Douglas O'Shea. Same bad time, same bad channel, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend coming up. Don't forget, it's IEW in Pontoon Beach this Saturday, and then we'll talk next week more about ACW in St. Clair. Have a good rest of your night, guys, and have a great weekend.